Hello and welcome to How to Deal When the Shit Gets Real podcast. I'm Rietta.
And I'm Connie. And we are two traveling cousins. Why not?
That sounds like a good new movie.
Insert like Hawaiian vibes here or like some sort of traveling music.
Instead of being like the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, we'll be the cousins of the traveling, I don't know, something.
Yeah, exactly. You'll just have to figure out that last part.
I'll figure it out before the end, hopefully. So yeah, we're just going to talk about traveling pre and post COVID, planning in general, just how to plan a trip and how to get those passports and just all the good stuff. You know, a happier topic because Lord knows after that debate last night, y'all need some love.
Amen. For real. And I already wish that, you know, we could go back to the way traveling was.
Yeah, and Connie actually just got back from Vegas, so she just did some COVID traveling.
And, you know, it was not too bad. You just had to wear a mask on the plane. And honestly, I have like a cloth. We have multiple masks, first of all. And I just took one that I knew is comfortable. That's a little bit like looser around my face. It's still on my face. It's still a mask. It's just a little bit, it's not even necessarily more breathable. It's just more comfortable. It doesn't fog up my glasses.
You have the issue with your glasses.
Yeah, I don't even think I would care, but the glasses thing sucks. Yeah, traveling is for sure different. What else? Besides that, they X'd off like every other chair, but we sat all together, really, me and my family, and the planes are now packed, so you're not going to get these like super spaced out flights anymore.
Well, they just had a killer deal, which I'm bummed that I missed because I would have come home to visit. At least Alaskan Airlines did anyway. They had a BOGO flight. You could buy one, get one free. You just had to pay the taxes and fees for the second flight, and then it gave you a whole row because they were skipping the seat in the middle. So you get a whole row for the price of one.
Oh, I heard about that. My mom was interested in that, but she was told the day that it ended. And she was like, oh, well, I can't do that now because we were actually in Vegas talking about it.
Yeah, I think it was on like September 14th or something like that.
I don't know how we ended up lucking out, but the way to Vegas, me and Tom actually had the whole row to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom and Joe were like, how did you pull that off? I'm like, well, I literally looked the night before. I saw, I switched our seats because I saw that for whatever reason, they made that end seat in the row that me and Tom were not sitting in more money. And I was like, there's no fucking way someone's going to pay more money for an aisle seat. Like, you don't have any advantages. Mm-hmm. It's the same as every other row. So I picked that row. I'm like, yeah, just in case, like, we'll see. And it just ended up like working out that because I picked it so close to when we were leaving.
There you go.
It worked out.
See?
I did not get the same luck on the way home, but I tried.
Hey, A for effort. And I know when Kyle left for deployment, they had to wear masks too, which is kind of silly because all the guys quarantined together. And all the
so
same
why
guys
would it matter?
Yeah, they already quarantined together and now they're on the plane together and then they quarantined again together in Japan. So I'm not really sure why they made them do that, but he wore a mask for 10 hours.
That does seem pretty pointless.
Yeah, because you already quarantined and then you're quarantining again. So not really sure why, but they had to. So that was really the only difference he said too, was that they had to wear a mask, you know, security and all that was, well, he doesn't really have to do security, but all that was pretty much the same. It was just basically wearing a mask.
Well, I mean, this was also the first time traveling with our grandmother. I have to say, I understand now why my mom likes to travel with grandma. Free excess pass, like free boarding and shit, because she's in a wheelchair.
Yeah, she's older and in a wheelchair. Yeah, I flew with one of our aunts once. I think when I came home for Grandpa's funeral, I flew with one of our aunts, and it was the same way. She was in a wheelchair at that point, and I wasn't even like thinking about it, but she's like, come on board with me. And sure enough, we got like the first row on the plane and we got off first. And I was like, all right, this isn't so bad.
it's even better when they they put us into like this really short, quick check-in line. I was like,
Mhm. Oh, we have that anyway. If I flash my
oh,
if I have flashed my military ID, a lot of times they'll be like, "Oh, go to over there to the short lane," and I'm like, "Sweet, all right."
oh, that is nice.
Yeah, and if Kyle's ever in like uniform or anything, forget it.
Then it's even better.
But the only uniform he could be in would be his dress blues, and nobody wants to be in those. It'd be super uncomfortable. The Marine Corps does not fly in their camis. Only the Army does that. So
Oh, well, yeah, nobody would want to
no,
dress blue. No.
they
Mm-mm.
consider their camis working uniforms, so you are only allowed to wear them at work.
I get that.
Yeah, so they don't want you running around in them.
And then getting special privileges.
Apparently, but I mean, the Army does it, but whatever.
Yeah, right. And then me and Tom are planning a trip for Paris, which I am super excited about that. I was very worried that the trip was going to be canceled, but I did look online today and you can go to Europe. You just have to get a test for COVID, not the antibody test, but the other one to see if it's actually like active in your system 72 hours before you fly. The only thing that I find really weird or interesting about it is I don't do they go that fast? Like I thought you would be waiting for at least 3 or 4 days to get the test back.
I think they've finally gotten better. It was taking a long time. I have a really good friend who's a nurse, and my sister-in-law is a nurse too, and it was taking 5 to 10 days when this originally started, but I think the labs have finally figured it out, and I think also more labs are participating, so it is going faster. And they probably even put people that are traveling in a different category where it's like, okay, these have to be
Mm,
turned around.
probably.
So that would be my guess anyway.
I'm really hoping though that we are out of this and I don't have to worry about it by March.
I
But
would
it's
hope
good.
so.
I really would. But it's good to just know that at the moment, even if we were flying tomorrow, we would be able to go.
Yeah, as long as you
So
did the test.
so that's good to know because I guarantee I would, even if, because I got for once in my life, I normally absolutely never get the travel insurance. But because of COVID, I'm like, okay, just in case, we'll
No,
get
yeah.
travel insurance. Even if I got the travel insurance for it and I got my money back, there's no way I'd be able to find 2 flights for Paris totaling $600.
No, yeah.
There's no way. So I'm like, please, please let it be all right.
Yeah, I usually don't buy the insurance either, but this is definitely a good time to be getting flight insurance right now because things can change and you definitely don't want to be losing out on money and all that. And the airlines are getting really stingy. I've had several friends, we had friends that were planning on coming out to visit us here in Hawaii. They had bought the tickets, and I want to say it was for like September, October timeframe. They were going to come out, and she has an underlying condition. So once this hit, there was no way that she was going to come. And then with all the regulations changing, and the airlines literally tried to be like, nope, sorry, can't refund you. Like she spent like 4 days, four solid
Arguing.
days of hours and hours and hours on the phone to get her money back.
Wow.
So the
That's
airlines are
insane.
being really stingy right now.
Yeah, my when we went to the hotel or whatever in Vegas, my mom ended up arguing with the company to get half refunded because the hotel smelled like pot. And they were like, we're here with a 91-year-old grandma. This is a super nice hotel,
Mm-hmm.
paying a lot of money to be here. We want our money back because it smells like absolute shit
Mm-hmm.
in the hotel and at the pool. And we were spending at the time, like, we were spending half of our days at the pool because there wasn't a ton to do in Vegas because a lot of things are still like semi closed. It was
Yeah,
still fun, don't get me wrong, but it was definitely like a very quiet Vegas.
which I'm sure we will not see again for a long time once this is over. And
I don't know. I kind of would rather see it full swing because slow Vegas is kind of sad.
I could see that. See, it's the same thing here. Waikiki, which is one of the most well-known towns that I think people know and associate with Hawaii, is so quiet right now. Like I don't even know the last time it would ever look like that or when the last time it ever looked like that. It's crazy. Usually the beaches are packed with people. There's people like the streets are filled, the sidewalks are filled, and I mean, you can literally go down there and the beach is like empty.
Hey, I mean, good for you though.
It is interesting and it is kind of nice to experience some of these things without tourists, but it's going to be a
Yeah.
shocker when it goes back.
Right? Oh my gosh. You're like, oh man, this is what I was missing. Oh darn.
But it does need to happen because there has been reports on the news of businesses that have been open for over 60 years that are having to close their doors because of COVID.
It's horrible.
So I'll be all right with the tourists coming back because the island deserves the uptick. So it might not be as fun and it
Yeah.
might be a little more challenging, but the island's got to survive.
I feel you because I've seen a lot of local businesses around, the suburbs of Chicago close. You know it's bad
Yeah.
because not a lot of people are like, hey, let me travel to the suburbs of Chicago. Do they
Mhm.
want to travel to Chicago? Yes. The suburbs? Not so much.
Not so much. Yeah. One of the bar studios that I used to work at, the girl used to own two, and I just found out last night or the night before that she had to close one of them. She couldn't keep both of them open anymore. So it's
Ugh,
hard and
rough.
it sucks and it's heartbreaking. But anyway, back to
Well, no,
our
but that is a good reason why to travel. It
true.
helps stimulate the economy, so everyone get out and travel.
Absolutely. Kyle
And
and I are working on planning a trip too, but we're gonna drive. We're gonna try to hit as many national parks as we can. So
oh, I love it.
yeah, so when we leave here, instead of having both cars shipped to the East Coast, we're gonna have one shipped to California, and we're gonna start in California by our friend's house and hit like Joshua Tree, the Grand Canyons, Moabs, Canyonlands, Arches National Park. We'll drive up to and hit Yellowstone and Jackson Hole, and then we'll drive up to the Badlands. So we're gonna do a whole bunch of navigating throughout
Awesome.
the Midwest, which will be really fun, but it takes some planning. So hopefully we get orders soon. And if you are planning a trip to Yellowstone, just throwing this out there because it's something that's making me anxious about this trip. It is summertime is the busiest time of year for Yellowstone, and if you are planning on going or want to go, make reservations now.
Yeah.
Yes, because otherwise you have to drive into the park every day. And if you don't wake up at the ass crack of dawn or go late in the evening, you're going to be waiting in a really long line, which first of all is really weird in the middle of nowhere. But you're literally going to be sitting in traffic waiting to get into the park. I mean, it's fine if you stay off, but if you are looking to stay on the park so you don't have to do that, you have to make reservations now because they're so busy in the summer.
Yeah, I remember going to Yellowstone, we stayed off, and it was not bad at all. But I think it depends on the entrance that you take.
It
Because
can,
there are multiple entrances, and the one, and I'm assuming that what happened is my dad did a lot of research because
probably.
he's Mr. Research, especially when it comes to state parks. So we stayed in this really small town, and we never had problems getting in or out
And
any time
yeah,
of. And
it's
it was
also
definitely the summer.
well, and it's also changed too. My parents were just at Yellowstone last year, and my dad literally is the same way. He's super researcher, and there was no way around it. Like you had to wait to get into the park every morning. So, but they stayed. I think they only had to stay one day off, and the rest of them they were on, and they were fine.
Yeah. I
So,
didn't even know that. Oh, wait, no, yes, I did. I was going to say, I didn't even know that they had like a hotel on the reservation, but yes, they do.
yeah,
I
and
just remembered, like, oh, yeah, we went into their their little gift shop that they
yeah,
had.
yeah, and then obviously my parents had the motorhome, so they were in the motorhome, so they weren't staying in the hotel or
Mm,
whatever. They had a campsite. So we're really
nice.
looking forward to that, but that's going to take a lot of planning, which is something that we wanted to remind you guys to keep in mind. Don't just be like, hey, we're going on vacation. And I mean, certain things you can, like Connie's trip to Paris, she's not going to plan to a T. You're going to have a general idea of, hey, let's do this and this, but it won't be like planned to a
Yeah.
T. But when you're doing something like what Kyle and I are doing, where we're driving and we have limited time and where it requires camping and equipment and driving, you have to do a little more planning and
Oh, for sure.
make sure you pull out that old fashioned atlas because it comes in handy.
Yeah. I mean, mine's planned, but I've realized from traveling to Europe in the past that you want a general idea,
Yeah, a general idea
but
for
not
sure.
necessarily because, okay, like, so one day, 1 or 2 days, I like had our day pretty planned out.
I figured.
And this wasn't for Paris. This was for when we went to Rome. And it's like that was the one that was the most stressful. It was like, and the reason why, though, it would have been fine if it was the following day. But the reason why, it was because we just like landed the night before, got in, got like maybe 6 hours of sleep, and then went, and we had no idea. Like, we were at the hotel, but like we didn't really know the metro system really yet. I was like, well, the Coliseum's like a mile away, we'll walk. But like on rough cobblestone in sandals, it's a little bit more work
Absolutely.
than going in like some gym shoes. Also, you're reading Italian and trying to navigate
Yeah.
Italy. So it
Yeah.
also like adds a little extra, stress. Like we were we were having like a funny shouting match, like about directions, making fun of each other that morning before we got to the Coliseum. And then once we got there, then everything like fell in place and we like figured it out.
Yeah.
But like I was like, oh yeah, probably should have planned this for the following day.
Yeah.
So I like learned, okay, have a general idea of what you want to do, but not necessarily show such a strict time frame.
Yeah, that's why I said when you make trips like that, more of like a general plan, or when you're doing a road trip, you need to have more of a solid plan or at least a semi-solid plan because, 2 days here, then it takes 9 hours to drive, then it's 3 days here, and then another 4 hours to drive, so it's a little more regimented.
Yeah, for sure. And you need more planning because you have to plan out like hotels or where you're going to camp at, etc.
Exactly.
So versus me going to Paris for 5 days, it's one hotel. That's that.
Yeah.
There's a little bit. You can have more impromptu fun. I still have to figure out though, like, because we only have 5 days, and it's Paris. There's a lot to see. There's a lot of things to do. So I have to like figure out what days are going to be spent where. Like get it down to like the neighborhood.
Just general idea. Yeah.
Well, because like I'm also trying
Vicinity.
to and I'm also trying to look up like some of the best places to eat. And I like going and just like finding a good restaurant.
You know what? I could add, I think my friend Dee has been to Paris. I'll have to ask her. I'm pretty sure she has. And I think Paris was one of her favorite places. And she is a foodie for sure. So I'll have to ask her because she would know.
I've got lists. I already have like a list going of like different types of food and the best place to get the different Parisian foods, which I'm all about.
And then just for fun too, if our listeners want to throw out some suggestions for Connie, please do, because we love it when you guys talk to us on our Instagram.
Oh, hell yeah. But yeah, it's going to be, I actually thought at first that it was like more time. I was like, wait, why did I only do 5 days? I should have done like 7. But I think we did 5 days in Rome, and that was plenty. So I think 5 days will be fine. And honestly, for the ticket price, it'll be all right.
You can't be mad about it. Yeah,
exactly.
Your jet lag might be a little up there, but that's okay.
Well, it's an overnight flight, so hopefully we'll just sleep on the plane. I'm going to take some, we'll see if I can take melatonin, but.
I was going to say, take some sleeping pills and drink some wine. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's totally my plan. But I felt like that's the best option because it's nonstop and an overnight flight. We get out the next morning at 9:40.
Yeah. Is it like London where it's like 8 hours or whatever? Yeah, 8-9 hours, something like that.
Yeah, 8-9 hours, something like that.
Yeah, London was about the same.
Yeah. And it'll be not bad, hopefully. I mean, the last time Tom was out the whole time, and that was an 11-hour flight because of the layover.
Well, lucky for fucking Tom, because the rest of us normal people can't sleep on a goddamn plane to save their lives.
Yeah, you're telling me.
Oh, I
So
can't unless
I'm
I
gonna
take,
cross my
even
fingers.
if I take like a Xanax, I like, I'm out of it, but I'm not actually asleep.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm gonna probably bring melatonin for me at least. I don't know if I'll be able to or not, but we'll see.
No, you should be able to because I carry like my Xanax and stuff with me. What?
If I get pregnant, I don't know if I can or not.
Oh, okay. We'll cut that out. I was like, she's mouthing something to me. What was that? Is my mic making weird noises?
No, no, sorry. That was my fault,
No,
guys.
I'm pretty sure melatonin. Think I remember
I think
taking
it's
that pregnant.
okay.
Yeah, I think I remember taking that pregnant. I'm pretty
That's why I
sure.
said I think. I'm
Pretty sure.
not sure. I mean, who the hell knows? But I mean, another different type of travel is all inclusives, and my brother is a huge fan of them. And I really want to go. I'm very excited to try it out to see if it's like my type of thing or if I'm too much of a busybody.
I feel like, at least to me, because I've done an all inclusive before, I'm not a huge fan, to be honest, because I feel restricted because it's only all inclusive, like at the hotel. And, I want to get out and have dinner somewhere else or go have drinks somewhere else. And I mean, if you can get a killer price, I guess it would be worth it. But even my
Hmm.
parents felt the same way because they just went on a cruise, what, 2 years ago? And
Yeah.
cruises are the same way. They're all inclusive, and they both were like, "Eh, I could have taken it." Like we packed our own booze, so
Yeah, and I also know that they wanted to see more. Like I
yeah,
know that your mom was really bummed that she didn't get to see more of Rome.
yeah. They were bummed they didn't get to see more of a lot of places, and like they had to report back to the ship, and it's kind of the same idea as all inclusive. Like, oh well, we already paid for dinner at the hotel, so I guess we should just go back there and eat. And I mean, I get why people like them, and I myself also am not a huge drinker anymore, and I feel like the people that benefit the most from the all inclusives are the people that are like the big time drinkers. So if
Yeah.
you're a big drinker and you're drinking by the pool in the afternoon and you're drinking in the evening, then hell, absolutely, it's worth it. But for someone like me who's like, oh, I'll have a cocktail or two here and there, it's not really worth it.
Yeah. I that's why I'm really interested to see if I'm going to like it. My one girlfriend, her rule is no more than 5 days at an all inclusive because at like 4 days, like the day before you're about to you're gonna leave the next morning, right?
Yeah,
So uh by day 4, she says that she's always like done. She's like
yeah,
done with relaxing. She's like she wants to go do stuff. You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly.
I said I don't know if that's a me thing or not because I am a pretty active person.
I don't think it'll be a you thing because you're a lot like me, and it's not really a me thing. Even at a place here like Turtle Bay, which is the famous hotel here on the island that was in Forgetting Sarah Marshall, which is a huge hotel that has two different golf courses and horseback riding and snorkeling and this, that, and the other. Like after 2 or 3 days, it'd be the same thing. I'd be like, okay, I'm done. I'm ready to go somewhere else.
Except for also the other thing is those extra things that the horseback riding, the golf, the yada yada, that all still costs extra money.
Yeah, I think they do include golfing at one of the courses. Like that's like the catch. Like, oh, you
Hmm.
can do the one course, but like the Arnold Palmer course, which I guess is a big deal. I don't know. I don't know anything about golfing. Isn't included, so you have to pay extra. But
Yep.
yeah, it's just I don't know. It's not worth it in my opinion.
The resort we were at in Greece, they included like a couple of things like bike riding and stuff, but they you had to like put your name on a schedule and like it just didn't we just didn't end up using it. We're like it's fine. Like
Yeah.
if we have to wait 30 minutes just to get a bike, we'll just go for a walk. It's fine. But most things costed extra money
Yeah, of course. And
as
yeah,
does everything, right?
yeah, as does everything. Yeah, and that's like we have people that come and visit us here, of course, because it's Hawaii, and they're like, I want to do this, and I want to do that, and I want to do this, and I want to do that, and I want to do this, and I'm like, well, that's on that side of the island, and that's over there, and that's on the North Shore, and that's here. So you better have a lot of time because that ain't happening in one day. Like I don't think
Yes.
people realize, like, yes, it's an island, yes, it's only 44 miles long, or it's only 44 miles big, but
But
it's
traffic.
still not easy to get from one place to the other. Even without traffic, it can still be 30 minutes from one side to the other, and you are not going to get that much done in one day.
And see, that goes back to Paris. That's why I'm like, I have to organize our days a little bit better because there's so much to see. I know you won't be able, like, it would be silly of me to be like, okay, Eiffel Tower this day, then we're going to go across to this,
Yeah.
it would be absolutely ridiculous.
Plus, you kind of want to get there and feel it out, see where your hotel is and like feel out your location and see what's around you.
And that's the other problem. It's actually been difficult to find the hotel. There's a lot of pretty reasonable, like 4-star hotels going for like $100 a night, which to me, I'm like, wow, that's pretty good,
No, that's good.
And the problem is that they're in such a wide range of area that I'm like, well, where do I pick? I mean, I know that the few neighborhoods you would want to be in,
Hmm.
but there's a lot of fucking hotels.
Get that view get that Eiffel Tower view, man. Go for it.
Right. I really should. I should just be like Eiffel Tower done, But
Look, I can see it every night before I go to bed. Sweet.
I mean, I doubt that I will have a room with a view, but
Hey, you
can
never
only
know.
hope. You
Keep
never
looking.
know.
Yeah, keep looking. I'm a big fan of keep looking. Like unless like what Connie did. Like if I find a flight that's super cheap that I know isn't going to get any better, I'll book it. But a lot of times when I keep checking, just when I'm about to give up, I find a killer deal.
Yeah. I knew that this deal was never coming around again.
Oh yeah, no, that was a good
But
deal.
I am the same way. I like keep on going until it gets lower and lower and lower, and then I finally like book, but I try not to wait too long to book. This was actually booked a year out and honestly, it was a COVID deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was right during the 2 weeks of quarantine. The price plummeted to $600 for both me and Tom.
Yeah, I almost bought, actually, Connie and I were like on the phone talking about it. I almost bought Kyle and I tickets too to go to Ireland. It's just, it's harder for Kyle being in the military and stuff. So we'll probably tackle that next, but we'll at least get the road trip in, which I'm excited about.
I know. We have a bunch of road trips on our like to-do list, but I figured it would wait until after next year. Next year is going to be really expensive because I really wanted to do for Tom's 30th.
Mm-hmm.
I really wanted to do one that was basically like Boston and then up to like New York to Niagara Falls and then back down. So basically going in a circle.
Yeah.
But we were in the middle of a remodel.
It happens. You'll get there.
So then it had to be postponed because remodel comes first.
And something you don't want to postpone, which Connie had a great reminder, is do not postpone getting your passport if you're going anywhere, especially right now. It took long enough before. You don't even want to know how long it's going to take now.
Because it's really like an unknown. I believe I had a family member who put in their passport months ago. Like, I would probably say May or June. And they still haven't got it back. They got the check was cashed. I think they got the old, because they send you back your old passport. So they got back the old passport. They are still waiting on the new passport and they're leaving in a month.
Oh, Jesus. That's when you need to call and be like, so about that
where
passport.
Is it?
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, I have to go get my picture and get a check and mail it in. And I said I was going to do it like Monday. And here we are Wednesday.
Wednesday. Yeah, so Connie, make sure, I'm going to ask you on Friday if you turned in your stuff yet for your passport. And if you haven't.
I'm hoping to go tomorrow after work right before the gym to do the photo. And then I think, honestly, I'm probably going to, I don't know if like the banks are really weird right now.
Mm-hmm.
And there's only one bank that's further away that sometimes has like the actual person at the window because I actually am so new school and not old school. I do not have checks. So I have to go and get a money order from them. And I have to see when their drive-through is open.
Well, you can get a money order from Walmart. Walmart usually always has money orders.
Oh, really? Well, I think it'll be cheaper for me to go to Chase. To my
I don't think it matters. I think it's standard across the board that they charge you like, it's not even a lot of money, like 40 cents or whatever.
I'll just go to Chase is honestly closer than the Walmart.
Oh, is it? I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like the people at Walmart are there every day, so you could go at any
Oh,
point
got
and get
it.
it. Because that's where I used to go. What
Yeah,
did
I
I
just have to
need it
look
for?
online for their hours
Yeah,
because
I
it's
got I
strange.
got ours not too long ago too. We're in Kyle and I were planning on going somewhere. I don't remember where, but we just recently updated ours too. Luckily, right before
Mm.
all this COVID crap happened, so ours are
Oh my
good.
God, that is lucky.
And of course,
I should
I
have put
had
mine in last year.
I had a passport previously from when I went to England back when I was like 15. Couldn't find it. Just had to like mark down that I lost it and apply for a new one. And of course, Kyle in the midst of the moves found my old one.
That's
I'm
hilarious.
like, that's how it always works. Like you finally get a new one and it's like, oh, here's the old one. Well, shit.
Yeah, basically.
Too late.
I know Tom actually laughs at my passport photo because I was probably 17 with braces. And he's like, "Wow, Connie, you look like a child." He even made a
Well,
joke
you
of like, "Wow,
were.
he's like, "Wow, I'm going to Rome with a child," making fun of my passport photo. I'm like, "Thanks."
That's how my previous one was before too, because like I said, I was like 15, 16. And then she also was like, are you ready for the picture? And I went to say yes, and she snapped it. So I'm like
Oh
mid
no, my
sentence.
lady, the lady who took my photo when I was 16, she did let me like pick my photo. That was really nice.
Oh no, she like was like, are you ready? And I tried to respond, and like before I can even say yes, it was like click, and I'm like, oh, okay.
That's the other thing is I hope that they allow because I'm just gonna go to Walgreens and get the photo, which man has the price for an
Oh yeah, it's
passport
insane.
photo
It,
gone up.
it's
I
insane.
remember it was like $8.
Yeah, it was. It was eight
Now it
dollars.
and now it's 14. I
Yep,
was like, holy shit, for two itty bitty photos.
I know.
Lovely.
My new photo isn't that great either, but whatever. It's on a passport. Who cares?
Yeah, basically. But yeah, I'm gonna try and go do all of that today and Friday and get it sent out at least on Saturday.
So there's your reminder, friends. If you are
Hmm.
planning a trip anywhere, make sure you get your passport because it might take 6 months.
And also, so I'm sure Rietta has friends like this as well, but I have friends who are like, well, I can't afford to travel. Yes, you can. It's called budgeting, people. If you really want to go somewhere, or it's just like if you really want to buy something, you budget for it. You can
Yeah.
budget for a trip. It's not really that big of a problem.
Well, and it kind of goes along with that same saying, people always say, I can't have a wedding and, until I afford it. And the saying back is, well, if you wait till you can afford it, it's never going to happen. And it's kind of the same thing with travel. Now, we're not saying obviously you should max out your credit card and put yourself in debt to travel, but you should make an effort to, like Connie said, budget and save and make it happen. Because that was even the first thing Kyle said to me when I was like, hey, let's do this road trip. And he's like, oh, well, you realize it's just because it's a road trip, it's not going to be that cheap. And I'm like, no, I get that. But we have the opportunity. You have a month off. We're coming from Hawaii all the way to the East Coast. We have the perfect opportunity. My parents are going to take the dog, the cat, and the kid. Like, let's fucking do this. When is the last time that just you and I have done anything? He's like, oh yeah, okay, you're right. Yeah, we need to make this happen.
Sometimes guys just need a little push. Tom's the same way too.
Well, and he is very much a planner. So if there is any doubt in his mind, like, oh, well, are you sure your mom's going to take Jackson? I'm like, yes, absolutely. Like, my mom's not going to
I was actually going to just
bat
about
an
to ask you
eye.
that if you were going to take Jackson or not.
No. And like, I was like, are you serious? Like, my mom's not going to bat an eye about taking her grandkid for 3 weeks. Like, it's not like we're saying, hey, take him for a year. It's 3 weeks, which I mean is a decent amount of time, but she hasn't seen him in a year
Yeah.
plus by that time. So, absolutely, she's going to want to.
Yeah. And it's not like, I mean, yeah, she doesn't get as much time as like somebody who's actually in Illinois. Oh my God,
Right.
even my mom would die like to
Oh,
watch
yeah.
her grandson for 3 weeks.
Most,
Even really for a night, honestly.
I mean, I think most grandparents would. And that's the other thing. Like, if you're worried about not being able to afford to take the kids to come or not being able to have someone take care of the dog, have your family help you. Say, hey, we have this dream vacation we really want to take, but we've got this dog. And would you mind watching him? I'll pay you what I can. And most of the time, your friends and your family are going to be like, don't worry about paying me or just give me what you can. And I would love to help you. Make it happen for yourself. You don't want to look back and regret not doing it. I remember there was a patient when I worked for one of the podiatry doctors that came in, and I can't for the life of me remember right now what he had, but he was in a wheelchair and had to have a caretaker. And it came on to him suddenly, it was something that was really unexpected. And I remember him saying to me, him and his wife both, take advantage of being young and healthy and being able to do what you can, because something can happen and then you're not going to be able to.
And that's why I find it super ridiculous that like a few of my friends who have had babies really young have like posted these memes of them traveling in their 50s and 60s. And I'm like, yeah, except and about how everybody else is going to be stuck with kids while I'm traveling at 50 and 60 or whatever. And I'm like, no, because see, I traveled when I was young and I plan on traveling, and I really hope that my kids get the same childhood that I got, where I was out going on a trip almost every single year of my life. Yeah. There was always pretty much a 2-week vacation every single year for me.
Yeah, that was the same for us too. I went on vacation with my parents regularly, for sure.
So I would hope that I can do the same for my kids. Just because you had kids young or have kids a little bit, I should say have kids at the right time, doesn't mean you can't travel. No. Either way, whether you have your kids young, doesn't matter the age. It shouldn't matter in general, and you shouldn't have to wait to travel.
No. And I remember when my parents did travel and spending that time with my grandparents, and it solidifying that amazing relationship with your grandparents, because you just got to spend one-on-one time with them for however long it was for. A lot of times I would spend at least a week, if not 2, at the cottage in Michigan with my grandma, and I loved it every summer. It was my favorite thing. Even when I was all the way up until I was in high school, I went and saw her. Now, eventually I started bringing girlfriends and stuff, but I still went.
Yeah. And I mean, I loved traveling the U.S. with my family. And I mean, we were always with grandma and grandpa Shrank.
Yep.
So I don't have any regrets, but that's for sure. And I told Tom, I was like, I don't plan on having kids having it stop traveling.
No.
Because Tom is the opposite of me. He very rarely traveled. And since he started traveling with me, he's like, oh, I like this.
Yeah.
As you do, because it's something that you've never really done before. At first, I remember like the first trip ever we took together, he would like bitch and moan about everything. Like, and then it became like, oh, okay, well, no, this actually is kind of cool. Like at first he was bitching about even going on the trip, like, oh, it's a waste of money. It's a waste of money. And then we actually went. And it was like, hell yeah, this is great.
Yeah. Yeah. And granted, it is more expensive now to travel than it was when we were younger and all that, but that doesn't mean you can't do it. And like I said, use those grandparents. They more than likely want that time with their grandkids, because that's a time where they get to bond with them without you being there. It's their time. It's their memories.
I think you could still do road trips.
Yeah, that's true.
For cheaper than like flying a full family out somewhere.
Yeah,
because I mean, I remember and it also depends on like where you're staying. When my dad and my family, we would go to these different places. We had our van, which was oh so fun.
I remember your van.
Oh yeah, and we had like a cooler. We always made our lunches with like just sandwiches, stuff that was in the cooler already. And wherever we would go to, we had pretty much everything for breakfast and lunch. So we only ever really had to worry about dinner, and that really cut back on like the amount that you were spending.
Yeah.
Because it's not like my family was rich.
Yeah.
They were just being budget conscious by making sure, okay, we had oatmeal for the kids, and all we had to do was like, they would boil the water in the coffee pots that the hotel gives you. So we would all have like oatmeal and a banana, and then we would have sandwiches for lunch.
Yeah. And plus a lot of hotels now have continental breakfasts are included. So you can usually nab some stuff and also have breakfast.
Yes. And that's what my dad would do. He would always plan the hotel around that kind of thing, and then wherever we were staying the longest, because we'd stay at like a few hotels overnight just real
Mhm.
quick, and then there would always be like one that's for like a week or 2 weeks. He would sometimes try to get one like with like a mini kitchenette, stuff like that, to be more budget conscious. You don't
Yeah.
necessarily have to be spending an arm and a leg to go travel.
Well, and then
You can
plus you
also
can,
travel within your own means, like find out where a cheaper hotel is and a place you want to go and price it out and find a budget or a travel that fits your budget.
or stay with friends and family. You know,
Mhm.
we have we have family in Florida, we have family in Colorado, we have family in California. You know, just hit up your aunts and uncles and say, hey, can I stay for a few days?
Yep, we had one aunt that really always wanted us to come and visit, and it really sucks that it just never happened.
And I used to visit, we went to Colorado yearly to visit one of the aunts on a regular basis. So, and she loved it,
Mhm.
loved when we would come to stay.
Yeah. And we went and stayed not like super recent, but I think like 2012 we went to Colorado, which was pretty fun with just mom, which was great.
Yeah, I've stayed with Uncle Bill a lot because he was on the road trip out to California. So every time I would stay with him, he's always so funny. You know,
Mhm.
the price is right, but the service sucks, is what he would always tell me. But
I like it.
the service was always out. He always had dinner waiting for me, and he always made granola. Like, what does he call them? He calls them something different, but it's like the fruit and the granola and stuff.
Parfaits.
Yeah, I think he did call it a parfait. He called it something different, but he always made him in the morning. He's like, "This is my specialty."
Aw, so
Him and
cute.
yeah, so we loved. I mean, he let us come with the baby. He let me come with the dog. Didn't care.
Yeah, I'll have to go out and visit him someday. One day.
He's the. I love Uncle Bill.
But yeah, traveling, it can happen. You can do it no matter what at any
Make it
time.
happen.
People do act, I feel like a lot of these blogs sometimes act, I am special enough to be able to go, but you probably never will.
Yeah, but you
But
absolutely can. You can make it happen. You can save for it, budget for it. Just make it happen before you can't make it happen.
and travel to boost our economy. The end.
The end. All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. I'm Rietta,
I'm Connie.
and thank you for listening.